Hey there, thanks for stopping back at my channel. I want to talk about selling street photography at art shows. It's something I've been doing probably the last 3 years or so, and I want to give you some tips if you're considering it. I want to tell you why I do it. We'll run through some of my best-selling images, and I can point out sort of the theme or themes that I find that people seem to be attracted to. And I think the first thing we have to address is, well, why do I do it? And there's 2 or 3 reasons why, and let's get money out of the way right away. Do I do it for money? That's definitely a part of it. I have a family to support. I definitely want to go to a show and make money. It's not that I want to pay $250 to enter a show and then just have a great experience. I want to walk away with as much money as I can. So the money can be very good. Just depends on the show, obviously. I also, one of the other reasons why I do it is that I've always been someone who likes to go against the grain. I like to be different. So when I go to a show, there might be, especially larger shows, 10, 12, 15 other photographers. And what I noticed when I first started doing shows, and I was kind of doing more nature stuff, what I noticed was every photographer was doing that. Every photographer was selling nature, landscapes, wildlife, flowers, etc., etc. And probably the last 3 years or so that I've been doing street photography and selling at shows, I am the only person there selling my kind of stuff. Nobody has the stuff that I do, and that's good. I mean, if somebody wants landscapes and nature, there's plenty of other choices. I will say that I do have a small rack. I do have a small print rack with some nature and kind of rural kind of stuff, because it still does sell. Some of them can sell, okay, and so I don't want to not have any of that, because I have some pictures of leaves and an old truck and things like that. So I do have something for those people, but 95% of my booth is street photography, and I like that. I like being different. I like being the only person who, if someone does have more of an urban city kind of personality, I'm the photographer they're going to stop at. I'm the one they're going to buy stuff at, and so I like that. I like being different than all the other photographers there. I think the other way that I'm different, not just in subject matter, but also in how I present that stuff. Almost every show I go to, with the landscape and nature and wildlife people, what are they selling? They're selling gallery wraps, and they're selling, currently the fad right now is metal prints, and I have none of that. You will not find one gallery wrap or metal print in my booth. I'm very simple, classic, basic photograph, matted on a white mat, and then either a black or a white frame, most of the time black. And that is very simple. It's never going to go away. It's not a fad. It was around 40, 50, 100 years ago, whatever, and it's going to be here in 20, 40, 50 years. That's not going away. And so it's just a very classy look. And again, I'm the only photographer doing that, and that makes me different. That makes me different in 2 really important ways. So that's another reason why I like doing it, because I do like sort of pushing against trends and going against the grain and things like that. So, and obviously, it's an honor, is a little bit of an ego boost. Of course it is, especially if I have a really good show. I mean, it's an honor to have people buy your stuff. They're willing to pay money to buy something that they're going to hang on a wall, or in the case of my books, it's something they're going to buy and actually spend time looking through or put on their coffee table or whatever. So that's an honor. I do like that. I enjoy that. I'm not going to lie to you. And it's fun just talking with people about, even if they don't buy anything, sometimes I just have really neat discussions about a certain image that they found attractive or whatever. And I always have other photographers stop by and we get into a talk about gear and things like that. And so that's fun. Just meeting people and talking about photography and street photography is another reason why I love doing it. It's I can be kind of when it comes to photography, I can be very extroverted and get rolling and start talking to people about stuff. So it's fun, it's fun. So what is the stuff that sells well? Okay, I'm gonna run through some stuff here on the computer, but the stuff that sells well might surprise you. This is very, or maybe it won't, but because again, you have to remember, this is stuff that people is going to put on a wall. And so there might be a lot of images that I think are very, very good, but I'm never going to print out. They'll go in a book, they'll go in a future book, but I'm not going to print those out because it's just not something that I think people would put on their wall. Most of the time I'm right. I'm probably wrong in some cases, of course, but so what sells well? Very simple scenes, usually with maybe one person in it who's unrecognizable. They would maybe take up very little of the overall image. Some shots I do fairly well with images that don't have any people in them at all. I have a really good image of a mannequin, just kind of a mannequin, like a headshot. I actually changed it to like sepia or Ambrose, and it sells really well, and people don't even know why. It's one of these things where I hear this a lot. I don't even know why I like this. I'm just really attracted to it, and so they buy it. And so this mannequin print that I have a number of mannequin prints, but this one sells consistently. I've sold it framed, I've sold it unframed. And it doesn't have a person in it, technically. It's a mannequin, so it kind of has a person in it. But I have an image of just part of a bike that sells extremely well. And again, no people in it. I photographed it in the back of a coffee shop in Green Bay. The stuff that overwhelmingly sells the best is actually my winter street photography. My best-selling image is called City Scene. It has no people in it. It was shot through a skywalk, some glass during a snowstorm, and it literally just sells constantly. I have a big framed print of this outside my booth, and I kid you not, I will have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people over the weekend of an art show stop and look at that and comment and either walk on. They're not interested in photography, but they still stop because they're so intrigued, or they stop and they come into my booth and they look at the rest of my stuff, and they end up purchasing the smaller version that they can't afford. They can't afford the big one, but the big one did its job, got people into my booth, and they find the little one. I mean, the last show that I did wasn't even an art show. It was a festival here in Appleton, and I sold that image 8 times. I sold the big framed one, and then I sold 7 little ones in one day. And there's no people in it. It's not typical, but it's almost like a painting. It looks like a painting, and a lot of people are very intrigued by it. I have another print of a person really small in a picture, like crossing a bridge during a snowstorm. That one does really well. I have another one called Footprints that I took from up high, in fact on the same skywalk, just pointing down at the sidewalk, of a guy walking by himself with a hooded sweatshirt on and a backpack, and you just see all these footprints on the sidewalk. That one sells quite well as well. So my winter stuff overwhelmingly, and that just surprises me. And so I do love shooting winter stuff, winter scenes, because they do sell very well. So I think the only image that I have that has sold fairly well, and it's kind of a recent image in the last year and a half, that has someone who's recognizable, is this night picture I took called Restaurant. And I just love the mood of it. I love the sort of the yellow blocks here, and there's just this woman just sort of resting on her hand, obviously engaged in conversation with somebody, just looking. And again, she's recognizable, but she's such a small part of the image, the overall image, that I don't think it bothers people. And so art shows, you can definitely do them. You can definitely, you just have to figure out your audience. You're going to print some stuff that's not going to work, and then I end up throwing it in my discount bin. I really enjoy selling at art shows. I was actually pleasantly surprised at the last actual art show that I did in Green Bay called Art Street. One of my framed prints, it's actually the banner of my channel, the black and white one. It's called Follow the Leader, with the kids all trailing the teacher, and they're holding onto the shirts. A print of that I had actually professionally matted and framed won an award of excellence. 9 artists out of 107 at this art show got some sort of award. and 2 photographers out of the 9 got an award, and I was one of them, and it was a street photograph image. So street photography can speak to people. It definitely can do well as far as sales, and I'm pleasantly surprised to learn that I could actually win an art award. I mean, I was going up against painters and mixed media people and people making stuff out of clay, and just all the artists that were there, and a street photograph actually won an award. So and that was great, because I felt not only good for myself for that, but I felt good for street photographers. It was like I sort of won one for street photographers all over the world, right? That we don't really get looked at as like we're creating art or we're creating beauty or anything like that. And here this print actually won an award. So selling at an art show, I highly recommend, like, look into it. You can start small. You can just make some prints. You can maybe display at a coffee shop, whatever. It's fun. I like the money, of course, but it's an honor to have people buy stuff, buy a book, buy a print or whatever. And it's just fun to talk to people. And sometimes I see people I haven't seen in a while. I saw an English teacher I had in high school, and I hadn't seen him in over 30 years. And he was a photographer, I remember. And just getting a chance to catch up with him and see people I haven't seen in a while, that's also a big attraction for me, is the people there and talking to them. So hope that helps you out. Leave me some comments below. Give me your thoughts. Maybe you do sell street photography at art shows. Give me your thoughts below, the pros and the cons. Otherwise, keep hitting the streets, keep taking photos. We'll see you soon with another video. Thanks, and bye-bye.